said all of that, I am just honored that these beautiful young ladies would grace us with their presence on this beautiful Monday morning, and that is none other than my baby sister. I have two baby sisters, younger than me, BJ, or Jeannie, and the absolute baby of the family of 7 girls, 7 sisters, is none other than this beautiful woman who's sitting next to me. She's a coach, she's a mother, she's a wife, she is a wonderful human being. So help me welcome none other than my baby sister, Yolanda. And you may hear me refer to her as Lon. We may call her Lon. So if you hear me referring to her as Lon, you know that I'm referring to this beautiful creature sitting next to me. And then next is, you just saw I had to get on. What can I say? She just gets out of hand, even though she's older than me, because I fit there in the middle. I have to keep her in line. But anyway, here lately, she and I have grown extremely close. She's my ride or die. Yeah. When I'm going somewhere and I don't want to be alone, she knows how I am. And all I have to do, and I'm telling y'all this, all I have to do is pick up the phone and call my sister Charlotte Williams. She's a handful too. But that's my ride or die buddy. I love her dearly. We have four other sisters. Four other sisters. So many of us we have. And Charlotte's a twin too. So shout out to Cheryl, who couldn't be here today. She's not feeling well, but I'm sure she's tuning in. We love her dearly. I see our cousin Karen is watching. Don't speak to the camera. Cheryl is not feeling well today. That's Charlotte's twin. My beautiful twin sister Mona Moore. You know, let me tell you, when you get so high, you get kind of too busy for small fry people. But nevertheless, no, Mona had a huge play this weekend, so she's exhausted. But I know she's tuning in via Facebook. Sheila, of course, I didn't think this was a good time for her to be here because it's still a tough subject for her. She's our oldest sister, so I'll be showing her parts of this video later, but we send love to her. And lastly, my next to the youngest sister, BJ, or Jeannie, we call her Jeannie. Jeannie just went on a fantabulous trip this weekend with her family, and she's completely exhausted. She said she was coming from San Antonio, and it was normally a 2-hour drive, and it took her 5 hours. Baby, that's that spring break traffic. But nevertheless, they had a wonderful time. But let's get into this tough topic today. And let me just tell you this before we get started. I know for me, you may see some tears. I'm just keeping it real with you. You just may see some tears, but we're going to be talking about Alzheimer's and what it was like as daughters and sisters to care for a mother who was struggling with this dreadful disease. I mean, for me, y'all, there were times I just didn't even think I could make it. Honest to God, there were just, this totally, you know, hearing that my mom had Alzheimer's was totally, I mean, it just totally blew me away, and it took me to a whole nother level. But you know what? I believe some of our greatest lessons, our greatest struggles, our greatest moments in the valley can teach us some great lessons. And I think in spite of seeing Mom go through what she went through, it helped us to become closer as siblings, because we really became close. But before I get started, I just want to share some alarming statistics. Some of you may or may not already know what Alzheimer's is all about or what it's about. I know for us, and I was talking to the sisters today, we didn't think about it, did we? We didn't really think about Alzheimer's because it didn't affect us. We just never thought that Alzheimer's would affect us. But listen at some alarming statistics. It is the 6th leading cause of death in the United States. 6th leading cause of death in the United States. More than 5 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's. And by 2050, the year 2050, this number could rise as high as 16 million. In 2017, Alzheimer's and other dementia will cost the nation $259 billion. And by 2050, 1.1 trillion. And lastly, alarming, is every 66 seconds, someone in the United States develops this dreadful disease. and what a disease it is. And so I am just honored that my sisters, these two, are here today to discuss this dreadful disease. I'm going to be sharing some more information because they don't know it, but I'm going to sign them up for a walk in June. And it's entitled The Longest Day, but I'm going to be providing more information about that. But again, sisters, welcome, and let's just get into it. The purpose of today is that we just want to give our perspective. Normally, as the host, I ask the questions and my guests answer the questions. But today, because we're talking about a subject that's near and dear to my heart, and we're talking about our mother, I will be chiming in as well. So thank you so much for tuning in. So let's talk. I'm going to talk briefly about the stages. There are 7 stages of Alzheimer's. 7 stages of Alzheimer's. And for me personally, what I've witnessed is that the first 3 stages are probably the most difficult stages. And the reason for that is because the person who's actually dealing with the Alzheimer's actually knows that they're crossing the bridge from sanity to insanity. And I can't even imagine that. You know, I could tell you story after story, all of my sisters could, of mother crossing the bridge and the things she went through. And you will hear some of those today, and they're tough to talk about. So let's just get into it with the sisters. Who wants to answer? When did you first, Charlotte, when did you see the first signs of mother struggling with this disease?
I guess it was the night of me being at work and getting a call saying that my mom was lost. And I left my job in a hurry, and I got home and she was there. And I told her then, I said, Mom, this is your last day of driving. No more driving. Right. She got lost and wound up way over on the other side of town, Navigation, Lawndale area. And some guy saw her crying in her car and came over and asked her, ma'am, what was wrong? And she said, I'm lost. And he took her driving license and led her all the way home. And we were so grateful to him. Exactly. Never got a chance to say thank you to him. But if he's out there listening, thank you so much for bringing our mom home.
Yeah, it was almost like a guardian angel. I remember that night very vividly. As a matter of fact, she had left earlier that day to go to the beauty shop. She was going to Felicia. She was going to the beauty shop. And the beauty shop wasn't any more than maybe 5 miles away. So when our dad, and you may hear us refer to him as Mr. Curtis, we just called him that. So if you hear us say Mr. Curtis, that doesn't mean he wasn't near and dear to our heart. That was our stepfather, Lon's biological dad. But anyway, we loved him still. But when I got that phone call, it was one of the most dreadful things. And also, I don't know if y'all can remember how we were wondering why mother didn't call us, because she had a cell phone. Do y'all remember? She had taken the cardless phone. She was at that stage where she was having trouble distinguishing certain things. So when she showed us that she had actually had a phone, she did, but it was not the correct phone. Lon, what can you remember? What is your first memory of her knowing she had this disease?
When mother began to get turned around in her own home. Oh, when mother began to get turned around in her own home.
Right. So she was getting lost in her home.
House.
And that's something to be cognizant of.
Yes.
Because she did. I know for me, I remember, I knew it. I just felt in my spirit. I was the one, I think, most like mother. I think people say I look like her, but I remember because I was calling the other sisters, letting them know, hey y'all, mom's repeating herself. And I thought to myself, I'm like, is it just me, or is it that they're in denial, or am I in denial? I just knew something was different. And I'll never forget, one day I was in the classroom then teaching, and I received a phone call, and it was mother on the other end telling me that she knew something was wrong, and that she felt like she was losing her mind. And shortly thereafter, all of us gathered together and had a conversation, and we ended up taking her to the doctor. And Charlotte, I'm glad when we talked about it, you reminded us of her receiving, she was misdiagnosed. Because we had taken her to the doctor, and what happened?
we took her to the doctor, and he looked at her and he checked her out, and then he looked and said, "Oh, it's nothing wrong with her. She's fine." And we looking at each other because we already know that things are different in her life. So we decided then that we would take her to another doctor, and we did.
We did, and
Well, may I
yes,
just say
please,
something?
please.
But not trying to make excuses for the doctor, but I believe the reason the doctor thought she was fine based on the questions he was asking.
Right. The lower level questions.
Questions
He wasn't
asking, she
digging
was
deeper.
answering those questions, so that's why I believe he came to that conclusion. Okay,
Right.
she's fine.
Right. And I'm going to just acknowledge this, that I have heard a lot of people, too many people, say that they've taken their loved one or family or friend to a doctor and they've been misdiagnosed as well. That's why it's so important for you to tune in.
Right.
You know your loved one, you know your friend, and to get help, because let me tell you this, what I've noticed with so many different cases. The minute you start seeing signs, the disease starts progressing quickly.
Yes.
More quickly. And we were just vigilant, and we knew that mom was different. It didn't matter what the doctor had said. And we had even, I don't know if y'all can remember, we put her in this study, this program, and they were giving her some new drug, and it caused her severe headaches, and we had to end that as well. But it is and something else too that I've also read. Some people think that that you can just go and get an MRI and it will make a definite diagnosis of Alzheimer's. That's not true, because they've done studies on individuals who have died from this disease, and they've done autopsy on their brain, and the brain looks normal. And then they've done autopsies on people who showed no symptoms, but their brain was full of the white matter. So, it's just a tough disease. Doctors haven't put all of the points together, but we knew that mom, something wasn't right. Something just wasn't right. How did it make y'all feel when we did? How did it make you feel, Lon, when we finally heard the news that mother had Alzheimer's, or that she was suffering with dementia?
I felt helpless.
Helpless.
Because there was nothing I can do.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. So there's nothing. I mean, just there is nothing you can do. Nothing medically that you can
Right.
do.
To make her memory come back.
To make her memory
stop
come
it
back.
from progressing.
Well, and they put her on the Aricept, but it just never really seemed to take an effect. Charlotte, how did it make you feel when you got the news that mom was struggling with this disease?
And the first time I was really like in denial.
Yeah.
And then I started, after that, kind of realizing that it was true. So I began to be her driver. She always loved to go on Saturdays to the grocery store. So I would go and take her to the grocery store. Or she loved to go look at shoes and dresses. So I would take her there. So I just became like her taxi.
Right.
And trying to let her know that, yes, Mom, you still can go to the grocery store. You still can go look at shoes, and you can still do that. But a lot of it was denial. I was just thinking that she was just forgetting. Mama had been forgetting for years.
Right. She had, let me just say this, she had been forgetting for years, but I just knew it was something different. I'll never forget when before I received the phone call in my classroom that day, I was talking to Mother. Mona had gone on a European tour.
I remember.
Had gone on a European tour. And this was my first really time when I said, something's not right. I'm not going to wish it away. I'm not going to hope it away. I'm not going to deny it. Something is wrong with Mother. I was sitting and I was talking with her. And you know how when you're listening and you're half listening and not listening. And Mother said something that led me to believe that she believed Mona was in the room with her. She said something that led me to believe that Mona was 1,000 miles away in another country, and Mom said something, and she thought that Mona was in the room with her. And I caught it, and I said, Mom, what did you say? I asked her, what did you say? And she caught it then. She caught it. and she backpedaled.
Didn't she laugh it off?
And she laughed it off. She laughed it off. She laughed it off. So, and after that, how did mother change? Do y'all remember what she became like? Because Alzheimer's, it's a frightening disease. I know. I can remember. What did she? Mother was bubbly, outgoing, smart, articulate, would speak anywhere, a prideful woman.
Very prideful.
How did Alzheimer's change our mom?
Well, I noticed that. Now, are you asking like when it actually took over her completely?
Well,
or
before
going through the process
I'm
of
glad you
losing
asked.
it?
Going through the process of losing it.
She going through the process of losing it. She was still trying to maintain how she used to be.
Right.
Very prideful.
Right.
You know. Oh, very prideful. Loved dressing up. You know, makeup and everything. But at the same, she was trying to keep it together. But at the same time, she knows
knew.
she was losing it. She knew she was losing it.
She was losing it. Charlotte, what do you? What about you?
Mine was coming, getting off work and going and said, I went and said, a couple of nights I'm gonna spend the night with mom and see what's going on. Because my stepdad, Mr. Curtis, would say mom would be up all night. So I went over there to make sure that was what was going on. So I woke up about 3. Mom sitting in her chair, her favorite chair in the living room, with the drawer of spoons and forks and knives. And I'm saying, Mom, what are you doing up? And she said, isn't it daytime? I said, no ma'am, it's nighttime. You need to be in the bed. And then that's when she told me something about it's a strange man.
Right,
in
right,
my bed.
right. And we're going to get to that too.
Yeah.
We're going to get to that because, you know, this is a very difficult disease. I know we have family members who are struggling with this disease right now. And we're going to talk about the close family members who are struggling with this disease and who has since passed since mother's diagnosis and her death. But this is a really difficult disease. And one thing I can say is it's important to have patience with these individuals. I remember Yolanda in particular. I don't know what it was, but when mother would ask a question or would say something that was off, Lon always felt the need to correct her.
Yes.
And that was why.
I remember it was one time we were sitting in the living room. It was all of us. I think all the sisters were there. And I was sitting on the floor next to mom, but she could still, I was sitting sideways, she could still see my expression. Because I'm a very expressive person with my face. With my face. And mother said something, and I looked at you all. I remember looking at you all, and I made a face like, no, that is not right what mom is saying. You know, it's off. It sounds off, because that's the word we started using.
Right.
It doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
And mom caught me. She saw me. And she said, I know what I'm talking about. I see how you're looking. I know what I'm talking about. It's true what I'm saying. And you always would correct me. Be careful about how you express your facial expressions or what you say.
Right,
Because
exactly.
we always wanted to keep her calm. We wanted to make the journey easy.
We wanted to make the journey easier. And I know that, and I see that in other family members who are dealing with a family member or a friend who's dealing with this disease. I call it the crossing the bridge time from sanity to insanity. And it's really important during this time not to correct them unless it is life or death, unless they're going to hurt themselves. It is so important because they know that they're losing their mind.
Right.
They know. And usually they're prideful, and that's a very difficult thing. They're going into the abyss. They're going into a dark hole. I remember mother describing it one day as being in a dark hole. She knew. And something else, when they're in this stage, probably stages 1, 2, or 3, they become, I know mom did, she became subdued. She became depressed, right? She became depressed. She became paranoid. All of these, depression, paranoia, combativeness, comes during the first 3 stages. Distrust. I remember mom trusted all of her girls, all of us, and I would get into the car with her at times, and her purse would be sitting near me, and she would take her purse and put it away, and I used to think that's odd. So it's those types of behaviors. I'll never forget, mom went somewhere and thought she had an accident. Y'all remember the car accident she
and
had?
And
she was trying to get the lawyer to she said she was in a car accident, but when she brought the car back, there was no sign, there was no indication of the car. And I thought we could just talk her through it, but we couldn't. So I ended up having to go to the bank, get them, because an attorney called me and said, your mom is coming up here every single day.
She started losing money.
She started losing money.
And you wrote a letter from the...
And so what I did, I went and got a money order and wrote a letter to give to mom to help her, lead her to believe that the case had been settled. Right. And so it's just things like that. That's just one of the many things that we had to do to make sure, because we were determined. We were determined to make sure that she was taken care of. You want to add something, Charlie?
Yeah, I remember the time that she lost her wallet.
Yes.
And had put it in the cedar chest, and was accusing my twin sister of taking her wallet. So we went through the house and we just started looking and looking and looking. I just happened to raise that cedar chest up, and there the wallet was.
Yeah.
And I said, Mom, here's your wallet right here. You must have put it in here. And my sister really felt bad, you know. And I told her that wasn't really Mom.
Right.
That was saying that. That was,
right.
You know, she didn't mean to hurt your feelings like that. But that's what she was thinking at the time. And I told her, I said, Mom, you know that none of your kids would take anything from you. We've never done it. We never will do it. And she got her wallet back, and my stepfather apologized. To, my
but I would like to expound on that. I remember a time going through the house finding money in pot plants, because you know Mom used to like the plants in her house.
Right. Yeah. So there's all types of behaviors that accompany this disease that a lot of people, and I've had to calm people down because they think they get so angry with their loved one about the change, but they're going to change. They're going to change because this is a very difficult disease that they are enduring. And for Mom, it had come to the point where we had to take her keys. You know, the time that she got lost, we didn't have the gray alerts or whatever it is that they have now on the freeway, amber alerts, and I think, but it's silver alert. And every time I see that, I am reminded of my mother. Every time I see a silver alert, to me, that is an indication of someone struggling with dementia, Alzheimer, has gotten lost. Thankfully that they've put this system in place to help so many people. Yes. But let me just say this to anyone who's listening out there. If you or somebody you know, you believe is struggling with this disease or has signs of this disease, one thing I got to tell you, you got to educate yourself. You have to educate yourself. I remember when I first got wind that Mom was struggling with this disease, I went and got this book, Alzheimer's, A Caregiver's Guide and Source Book, and it was so important. It was so important. It covers just about everything that you can think of. What is the disease, symptoms and phases of the disease, because sometimes you don't know what to expect. I've heard people say, are they going to get better? But they don't get better. You know, they have their moments where it seems like the sun is peeking through and that they become themselves, but they don't get better. They don't get better. Depression. And I just noticed that in Mom. She just became so depressed.
And sometimes she would sit and just like in a stare.
She was in a stare.
I caught her many times just sitting and staring.
Right. Because she was losing her mind. She was losing her mind. The book also talks about the myths and coping for the caregiver. And I just want to briefly talk about also too, something else. Help them with their finances. Yes. You know, make sure they have a medical power of attorney. I'm so glad Mama had a medical power of attorney. Our mother took care of her business.
Yes, she did.
You know, she took care of her business and she taught us how to take care of ours.
Yes.
So that's really important. Make sure that the person, be it yourself or somebody you know, make sure that they have the business in order. When things were I instantly, the minute Mom received the diagnosis, I called my attorney and I said I need power of attorneys. Immediately I went and got a power of attorney, and you will need that. You will need that because they will become combative and they will start spending money. I'll never forget. And I'm gonna let the sisters talk too, but I'll never forget how mother called me, and she had signed up for this unnecessary policy on her car. And I used to, so I had to go in real quick and make some adjustments, get her money back, fight for all of that. And so I used to say this too: when the wolves smell blood,
I remember you said that.
they're coming. And what I mean by that is when bad people see that people are losing it, or that they're weak, or that they're frail, they're coming in. A lot of Alzheimer victims are signing up for subscriptions. Family members are taking advantage of their money.
Go to the store. Mama have $100, didn't come back home with no money, and only spent about $20. So that means that whoever took the money didn't give her change, because they realized that she had. Mama had $500 one day. The next day I checked her purse, she didn't have any money, and I'm thinking, what did she do with this kind of money?
Because when people know, when they smell blood, when the wolves, remember I used to say that? When the wolves smell blood, they know they're coming in for the kill. So it is really important, if you or somebody you know who is struggling with this disease, or in the early stages, get their business affairs in order. I can't stress the importance of that. Also, too, we were talking about, we were fortunate. There were 7 of us.
Yes.
And we took care of our mother.
Yes,
we took care of our mother. We'll tell you in a little bit why we had to put her in first in assisted living, and then from there to a nursing home facility. But we took care of our mother. But we were talking about in the car how blessed we were that it was 7 of us.
Yes.
But we were talking about, Charlotte, what happens when there's only you? We know some people now who are dealing with it, and it's just a sister or brother, or it's just an only child. We have a cousin who's an only child who's dealing with this situation. What would you say to those people?
Reach out.
I love
Reach
that.
out to family, friends,
your church,
your pastor, your pastor's wife, anybody that you are familiar with and you can trust. Make sure it's somebody that you can trust.
That's so
but
true.
Reach out to those people and get help.
Get help.
Don't be afraid to ask for help.
That's
if you
true.
need help, get help.
It's not if, because you will need help.
Yes,
you will need help. It is
mentally and physically draining.
I'm so glad you said that, Lon. It is mentally and physically draining. Let me tell you this. Prior to my mother getting this, I used to ride in my car and jam to R&B music. I loved my music. I still love R&B music. I'm not knocking R&B music, but let me tell you something. When my mother was going through that, I can't tell you how many times it drew me closer to God.
Yes.
Because baby, do me was not helping me. I had to lay prostrate before God. I cried out so many times in my car, and I had y'all.
Right.
We had each other.
Right.
So it is vitally important to reach out. A lot of people are ashamed of what they're going through. Are too prideful. I like that Shields. I'm going to call her Shields because she's at my school and I call her Shields. Yeah, Coach Shields. You may hear that too. But Lon, that is so important. You cannot let pride prevent you from getting the help that you need for your lung, because it's a dreadful disease. It's not just a dreadful disease for the person who's going through, but it's a dreadful disease for the caretakers as well. And let me just share this. We eventually had to put mother in a facility, Sugarland Oaks. We looked for the best.
Yes.
And I believe Sugarland was probably the best. But let me tell you something. It doesn't matter what they tell you. Oh, we'll take them on a journey and we'll do this and we'll do that. Let me tell you something. No facility will take care of your loved ones like you. And no facility will do a good job if you are not in tune with them.
Right.
So let me tell you, we ended up having to put mother in a facility, and it's 7 of us. And I thought to myself, I said, how did we get here? I never thought our mother would ever have to go to a facility. But let me tell you briefly why. One day mother called me and she said, and they call me Chubby. She said, Chubby, Curtis, her husband of 50 years or so, is letting strangers in the house. I knew that wasn't right. But I thought to myself, maybe my dad is stressed, and I tried to make it right. That's why you got to be in tune with your loved ones. And I said, Mom, are you sure? She said, yeah. I said, well, I'll speak with him. So I did speak with him. And he said, you know, I would never do that. I said, okay. I said, well, maybe, I don't know. Maybe Mom's stressed. I don't know. But we'll keep an eye out. Couple of weeks or so, maybe later, Mother calls me again. She said, Trevor, let me tell you something. You didn't take care of that. I said, what are you talking about, Mom? She said, I told you, Curtis was letting people, strange men, into the house. I said, Mom, I did speak with Dad about that. I did speak with him about that. And she says, but you didn't, because now he's letting these strange men into our bedroom.
That's deep.
That's deep. Let me tell y'all, when I heard that, my heart sank. My heart sank, because I knew then that something had gone terribly awry. So what I did, I thought to myself, and I said, Mom, describe him. Describe the man. And she described her husband. She described myself. She described the man video. She described him. He was a stranger. He was the stranger. So in the midst of this disease, they will go in and out. They forget people who were close to him. And the reason I ended up getting her out of the house, matter of fact, she asked, she said, since he's letting these strange men into the house, which he wasn't, I want to get my apartment. So I knew then. And then she said, because if you don't, this was it. She said, I'm going to kill him. She said, I'm going to kill him. I said, Mom, what do you mean by going to kill him? I immediately got up and went over there, and she was carrying, she had a knife. A knife. Then that's when I found out from my dad, who knew she was prideful, and she probably told, don't tell the girls what we're going through. She was barricading herself inside the room. So I knew then the best thing for her was to put her in a facility that would help her. And that's what we did. How did y'all feel about that? Putting her
in a facility?
Yeah, the first one.
That she's lost all her independence.
Yeah.
That was her mom being prideful, a strong woman, wonderful mother, raised 7 girls.
Right.
Now she's going from independent to
taking care of all of us to dependent. And just leaving her there. It was surreal. What was it like for you, Charlotte, to take her there and leave her?
Complete heartbreak.
Complete heartbreak.
When I left, she was telling me, don't leave me here, don't leave me here. And when I got to my car, I cried like a baby. I didn't want her to see me cry.
Right.
But I cried like a baby to hear my mom say, don't leave me here.
Right.
And
because we knew it was the end of, I guess, a legacy as we knew it, and the beginning of the end.
Right. It was like 2 different, I don't know if this sounds right, it was like 2 different moms. One we knew, now one we have to get to know. Get to know. And amazingly, she took it pretty well, because she thought it was an apartment. And I'll never forget, and I want to do a shout out. This was, first of all, it's really important. We all gather together. I came with the schedule. I love that.
Playing is important.
Yes.
Playing.
I love when you said, I remember, I don't want to get the time we had part, remember, we met at the park, and you had your folder like you have right now, and you open it up and you say, sisters, this is the plan. Mm-hmm. And it's 7 of us, and each one of you assign a day to each one of us, and ask us, is that day sufficient for you? Is it okay for you?
Right.
And I remember we stuck with that day until Mother left here.
Right. I'm glad you said that. It's important to come up with a plan. I'm just grateful that we had, it was all of us. I know some. We have a close family member, a close friend. She's like family. Sherry Williams. She's taking care of her mom now. A lot of it by herself. But it's so important to come up with a plan. And let me say, y'all, I was met with resistance. I don't know if y'all remember that. Y'all were kind of in shock when it came to, so I said all of that is whoever takes the lead, you might be met with some resistance, but you just got to forge full speed ahead. You just got to do what you know is right in your heart. I remember it came down to selling mama's car. That was like selling a piece of her. And one person, ex-nay right there in particular, had the worst time. And at times I felt like they were attacking me, but you know what? I had enough to know that they were attacking me in love.
Yeah.
Right.
And I had to know, and I knew that I had to keep moving. I knew that I had promised Mom that I would take care of her and I would do the best for her, and that's exactly what I did. But let me just tell you this. Even though you put your loved ones in the best of facilities, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. If those people in the facilities think that you're not watching,
better watch them. Better watch them.
They will not take care of your loved ones. I don't care how much money you're paying. I don't care what they tell you. I don't care how beautiful the facility is. We searched high and low. A Place for Mom. Keep that in mind. It's called A Place for Mom. Helped us find a place for mother. And so we thought we had found the best place. But I knew that when you turn back, people. So what I did was I created a binder. This is just one of many tablets that was in that binder, because I told the sisters, when you go and visit mother, you make sure that they know. And this binder was left out. It was left out. It was left out purposely. Right. Because I remember somebody asked, well, do we want them to see? Yes, we want them to see what we write. Yes, we do. We want them to see what we was writing. And we made entries, and I was just going to share an entry really quickly, just an entry. And this is it. I've kept so many things from mother because I love her, and it's just so hard to get this. But keep a diary. Keep something like this in the room with your mother. Not only that I do this, I typed and made a poster that I hung over her bed, because there were times mother was just so out of it, and I wanted people, whoever entered her room, to know that she loved the Lord. She loved her family. She loved gospel music. She loved looking out the window. And I made sure that they knew that. They didn't have any excuses with that, to make sure that they knew. And something else too, when you go in to visit your loved ones in these facilities, don't just walk in and walk out. We walk in, but we spend quality time. We check mother from head to toe. And thanks be to God, mother did not get bed sores. We took care of her. And not only this, I'm going to mention this really quickly. Let me read an entry, just give you an example of something that was written from so many sisters. Everybody and us, all of us had to write an entry. I'm just going to read one for me really quickly, because I can read my handwriting barely at time. This was November 19th, 2007 at 7:30 p.m. I came by to visit Mom. She was sitting in a chair in the hall, and another staff member was working with her. And when Mom saw me, she started to cry. I just kneeled beside her to try and comfort her. She didn't stop crying. The lady who was there helped me get her up and stated that she had been bathed. I checked her undergarments when I got to the room, and they were dry and clean. I checked her drawers in her closet. Oftentimes they mix up the clothes in the laundry. She only had 2 diapers left. I went to the Walmart and purchased more and brought them back. I got Mom into bed and dressed her and kissed her goodnight. And I miss my mother and pray that God heals her. I was praying for healing in the process, but all of us made sure. We didn't just tip in and tip out. We made sure she was in the bed. We would call. I would call. How's Mom? We checked with each other. It's so important to communicate. It's so important to communicate and to be there for your loved ones. And something else who was really important to us, and I know I'm doing a lot of talking. I'm just doing. But hospice. Charlotte, most people think that when they think of hospice, they only think about it's at the very end. The person only has about 2. If somebody is diagnosed with a terminal illness, whether they have a year left, 10 years left, you can get hospice care. They're not going to give you medication to make the disease better. They're going to give you medication to keep you comfortable. How helpful was hospice, Charlotte?
It was wonderful.
Extremely.
Mom had the best hospice nurse that you could ever work with. And him being a guy, you would say, a guy?
Right.
But he took such good care of my mom, and he loved her. That was the important thing about it, is that he got to know my mom, and he got to love her, and he loved us.
And let me tell you why Charlotte's bringing that really quickly is because in facilities, you only get a bath like every other day. Our mother loved bathing twice a day. So we wanted to make sure she was clean. So hospice stepped in and provided that support within in the midst of their support.
And I would like to say this. The young man took care of mother as if it was his mother.
Amen.
I noticed that.
And that's uncommon, but that was just the grace of God. Yeah, because even if you have someone, because let me tell you, we knew that because we watched him. Right. We knew that because he knew we were watching him, and I think it was just who he was.
I do too.
It was just who he was. It was just in him. But also, let me tell you some other services hospice provided. Urinary tract infections are huge with Alzheimer patients. Mom had a backache. We ended up pillows. We ended up making. They brought the machinery, the medical machinery to mother and examined her there. All of that was provided through hospice. They got her the best bed. They got her a toilet. Whatever she needed to help make her life better, hospice provided that at no cost. And if it was medication relating to pain or sickness, if she had a urinary tract infection, all of that was free through hospice. They don't provide for stuff like Aricept, but they provide for that. So that's really important. Who can remember why we moved mother from assisted living to the nursing home?
Because she couldn't care for herself anymore.
She couldn't care for herself in the sense that
just to be assisted.
Just to be assisted.
Being dressed, assisted being dressed. Just assisting going to the cafeteria.
Right.
But when it got to the point we had to put her in a nursing home because she couldn't do any of that.
She couldn't do it. And assisted living facilities will tell you that if 2 or more people has to take care of the loved one, then they need more pronounced care. And that's when we took her and we had her transported by ambulance to this facility. And we know this was a very important time because mother was moving into the latter stages of this disease where she wasn't as vocal.
Right.
So we were sitting around one day. We were so concerned because we were like, they're going to mistreat mom, even though we were visiting her every day. And I just want to do a huge shout out to Mona.
Oh, yes.
Mona was a director for neighborhood centers, I believe, at the time. And she said, she came in one day and she said, God spoke to my heart and said, I need to be there with mother. Mona quit her job. And all of the sisters got together, pooled our finances in support and help of making sure. And Mona was with mother Monday through Friday from morning to afternoon until we took over the shift.
Right.
All of you did Saturday and Sunday. We took shift work. That is so important about having a plan. I can't tell you how many times we were sitting there taking care of mom, and she had a person in the room with her, and they were more concerned about mother, and we would look at them and say, we got this.
Right.
You take care of that one.
Right.
And also how so many parents, how many people drop their parents off.
Yeah, we took care of Miss Sarah when we bathed mom. The lady in the room, Miss Sarah, we would bathe Miss Sarah because she had no visitors.
Because they had no visitors. And Mona, when we would go there, Mona was like a movie star there. Everybody knew Mona. Mona, bless her sweetheart. Yes. She would make sure mother was taken care of, and Mona would go around and after taking care of mother and provide support to so many others. Having said all of that, if you have a loved one in a facility, please visit them.
Yeah.
Please visit them regularly. Yes. Don't just tip in and look at them. Yes. Check their diapers. Check their undergarments.
You can go in at midnight. If you have to go in at midnight, we went in sometime at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. We stepped in there and let them know that it's somebody going to be here all the time. You don't know what time.
And I like to backtrack real quick. I love when you say when you go there, spend quality time. Just don't go in and leave.
Right.
Every day we check mother clothes. Every day we checked her snacks. Because at one point, mom, she likes snacks.
Right.
Snacks.
Right.
We checked that every time we went.
That's so important. And even with this journal here, I saw a thing where when people are coming in and out, and let me just say this too. You can't let everybody in your space. Our mother was a prideful woman.
Yes.
And when it got to the point where, you know, we didn't know what kind of state she was going to be in, we shut it down.
Yes.
We shut visiting down.
That's
we just
correct.
didn't let everybody
That's
into
correct.
mother's space.
Very
So you got to be very
One
mindful of
friend.
that.
Yes.
Mother was very prideful, and we wanted to make sure that that pride carried over into her
Yeah.
sickness. So be mindful of that, because let me tell you something. When people ain't watching, people will do some strange things, and it's so important for this right here, because I was reading where our sister Cheryl had, baby, that Cheryl was something. Cheryl was something.
Yeah, she was.
And she had written in, she didn't write much in here, but she would leave a message, and in one of them she left a message about mom needing bath soap. This was our communication, because sometimes, like Monday may have been Lon's night. Lon left a note. So if I got there and saw a bump or a bruise, or if she needed diapers or something, I could read, you know, in it, and she would let us know. So that's really important. You know, make sure that your loved one knows that people are watching.
And we kept her appearance up.
And we
Mother
kept-
was a woman that loved makeup, loved her hair fixed. We kept that up.
That is so true. I remember one of my former guests was talking about how their mother loved a corsage, wore one every day of her life. Our mother loved her makeup. She loved her hair. She loved being well kept. And it's really important when somebody is dealing with this disease that you be there for them.
Yes.
Be that bridge for them. That's so important. They need that support. So shout out to my twin sister Mona. Shout out to all of my sisters, because we were there for each other. And then we get the news. It was Mona. She called me. I'll never forget. I was an assistant principal at the time, and I was in the middle of a meeting, and they said, Miss Jackson, you gotta come. You gotta come. It's your twin. It's your family. And everybody knew Mother was sick, but didn't, you know. Mona said Mom had changed. She had stopped eating. She had stopped drinking. It appeared to me as if she had a mini stroke, I think, on top of the Alzheimer's. So that's where the medical power of attorney came in, because Mother did not want to live on artificial life support. She didn't. So that was a difficult time. So just really briefly, Charlotte, what was that time like for you?
It was horrible. It was horrible. That's the word I use. Horrible. I didn't want to believe it. I tried to make it seem like it was something else other than what it really was. Mona had said that she think Mom had a stroke, and I said Mom ain't had no stroke. And but when I went there to try to talk to her, she didn't say nothing. She just looked up, and then she got in the bed and never got out that bed anymore.
Yeah, she was transitioning.
And she was transitioning. And my sister Cheryl say, I'm gonna stay with Mom until, because they had told us that Mom was leaving us. And Cheryl said, I'm not leaving Mom. I said, well, I'm not staying here to watch my mom take her last breath when I had just, you know, went through what she was going through. So I couldn't do it.
Yeah. But Cheryl was there.
But Cheryl was there.
And also all of us, remember we all gathered. We had a room full. Matter of fact, they moved the patient who was in the next bed out because we were there. But because Mother was in such good health, it took longer. Her leaving, her transitioning took longer, and hospice was really helpful with that.
And I'm glad you said that, because throughout all of this, the doctor stated the reason it took Mom, her transitioning longer, because she was so physically healthy.
She was physically
healthy. So basically,
healthy.
we were waiting, as he described it, and I thought he did a great job describing it. He said, we're just waiting for the heart. It's like a clock, just to stop.
Just to stop.
Because her body physically was she was in such good shape.
And I remember that day, we had all left, and Cheryl, she couldn't leave her. She was a champion. I like that.
I couldn't have stayed.
None of us really wanted to see her take the last breath, because we knew that was the end on this side.
Cheryl had her hand.
And Cheryl had her hand
when she took her last breath.
So she didn't die alone.
She called us about
and she
3
called
in the
us
morning.
and we were all there.
3 in the morning.
November
8th.
So you know what? We were all over the place with this. But it's just not a disease that you can just sum up in 1 hour. But I hope that something we've said resonates with you, because let me tell you something. I believe that everybody out there knows somebody who is dealing with this disease. And really quickly, what we didn't mention is, are we afraid of getting this disease? Charlotte,
Yes.
you said what?
I am.
You're afraid of
I'm
this. Why are
afraid.
you afraid?
Because it's running through mom's family.
Right.
And it's on dad's side of
Right.
the family.
And really quickly,
And mom has a sister that passed away.
Aunt Nell.
Aunt Nell.
And
then
now-
my mom's sister.
Other sister.
Margie has it. The only one that shows no sign is the baby sister, and she's 81, and that's Aunt Bob.
And
her brother, my uncle
he
Ivy,
had stroke.
but he had Alzheimer's. They just
Okay.
didn't realize. They said dementia,
Right.
Because
Right.
they didn't really know much
Right.
about Alzheimer's at that
But
time.
the reason I don't fear it, because our grandmother didn't have it.
Right. Right. But
So,
and that's good. But just in closing, for me, I almost lost my mind thinking about getting it. I really did. Yeah, I had to just pray. I just had to pray and ask God, just God, give me the strength. And I know that everything is in your will. Fear and faith can't reside in the same house. Fear and faith cannot reside in the same house. So I wanted faith to reside. So I had to release the fear. And you know what? Right now, it is what it is. And whatever I'm going through, God will meet me there. But nevertheless, I love my sisters for being here. I told y'all time would go fast. I know I did a lot of talking, but she was my mother too.
right.
And I loved her dearly. We love her dearly. Listen, if anybody out there who's listening know of someone who's struggling with this disease, or if you yourself know you're struggling with this, get your business affairs in order. Let somebody know, because things will change. This site, alz.org, is a wonderful source of support. Also, if you know somebody who's struggling with this, get this wonderful book. It's a huge support. Lastly but not least, they're having this event in June of this year called The Longest Day, and it's about families gathering together of who this disease has affected. They don't know it, but they're going to be a part of this with me. We're all going to be a part of this. So, nevertheless, thank you so much for joining in. Please share this video. Please share this post. And thank you so much. God bless you for tuning in. Thank you, sisters, for being here. Continue to tune in to Carla J. Real Talk with me. I love it. May God forever bless and keep you as well. If you know someone who has an interesting story, and an ordinary person who has an interesting story, an extraordinary story, please give me a shout out. I'd love to have them on the guest. If you'd like for me to host your next event or be a guest at your next event, I'd love to be in the midst. If you'd like me to come and talk about Alzheimer's, I'd love to do that, sharing our experience. I'll even bring my sisters along with me. Nevertheless, thank you so much for joining us. God bless you. And remember, like I always say, be someone's beautiful bright light in darkness. God bless you. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you very much.